The Rifffs have had a very eventful journey in the music biz spanning 3 decades, from landing a record deal with alternative music distributed by Pinnacle to having a debut single, dance music for the 80s depression, played by the world-famous DJ John Peel, and it was also a hit on the British alternative charts. The Rifffs are Ray on the lead vocals, Raven on the backing vocals and the guitar, Cooks on the bass and Nigel on the drums. Lead singer from the Rifffs, Ray Mercieca, joins me on the line now. Hello, Ray. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm not doing too bad, mate. How are you doing?
Not too bad. So the Rifffs with 3 Fs, because I think there's another group with the Rifffs that's got 2 Fs, isn't there?
2 Fs, yeah. They came a bit after us, about 10 years later, I was told. But we were in contact with them and everything, and obviously we don't have a problem about that. That's why we're 3 Fs.
Okay, just to sort of make you stand out, so to avoid any confusion there. Okay, so you're based in Malta, established in 1981, but you actually broke up and reformed, didn't you?
Yeah, well, originally I come from England, from London.
Okay.
My mum's from Liverpool and my grandparents are from Ireland, so it's like British, shall I say. But I moved out to Malta in the late 70s, and that's when I formed the Rifffs, the band The Rifffs.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went back to London with some great demos that we thought at the time were really happening, and I just walked into alternative music there and then, and they just wanted to sign us straight away.
Oh, brilliant!
And adventurous as we were, we just literally went away and said, "Okay, well, why not? Let's take a chance." And off we went, and that's when dance music for depression came along.
It's fantastic. Well, we'll hear that particular song in a few minutes' time. But we have seen a lot of groups from the past reforming recently. I guess there's a big market for sort of nostalgia and groups getting back together at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just in England recently, and I went to see the Specials. And for some reason, when the world goes in depression, the ska bands start to appear again, which is weird. And also, Glastonbury, there was the Specials there, and Madness were there. And I heard Sophie literally say, he said, "Oh no, it's all going to happen again," which is brilliant. And obviously, the Rifffs, we were around at the same time as the early Specials and early Madness. And we're just back again. We're going on tour on the 16th of July. We're off to the Czech Republic to play Mighty Sounds with Buzzcocks. We're going to be up there with Buzzcocks and Egrelites as well. Great ska band as well. And then we're off to Berlin. We're off to Munich. I think it's Stuttgart. Well, there's a load of dates and whatever. But it's just great. It's great to see that ska music is just hitting back all over the world. And in the east part of Europe, it's just enormous. It's absolutely enormous. It's just so exciting again, see it all happening again.
Well, I know my co-presenter Wendy wanted to say something.
No, hello there.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm all right, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you very much. I mean, it's pretty hot here at the moment, and I'm sat outside.
Quite hot here.
It's 23 Celsius here at the moment.
Is it really? Here we go. So the Rifffs brought a bit of sunshine to the UK.
There you go. Brilliant.
It's the magic of the sun always.
I was wondering, how would you describe your music?
Well, we obviously are influenced heavily from early ska, which is the original Tobago sort of ska. But obviously, us coming from also a kind of punk background in the early 70s, which we were in a punk band. We were also in a punk band before the ska band, and we used to gig all over London, visiting walls and whatever. And so what we did, with me using heavy guitars and like Raven on his Skanga rhythmic guitars, and Nigel on his very powerful drums, and he's built like Tyson anyway, so he's a big boy. And Groggs is just an amazing bass player. I think we just discard this sort of. The best way to say our music is power ska, really. It's just power ska with a little bit of punk phone in it. If you hear Jack the Ripper, you can hear the punk influences still there. But it seems to be working in a way that we could go on stage and it just creates such atmosphere and excitement, and it's just magic, really.
So who influences you musically then?
I think...
Is that a dog I heard in the background?
Yeah, it's a dog up there somewhere. First time I've heard him bark.
I think he wants to have his say as well, doesn't he?
I think he did. Yeah, I think our influences, really, I mean, they vary. It could be anything from the Clash to the Rifffs.
Oh, I love the Clash.
Yeah, I mean, obviously me too. And I think Raven is around the same sort of area. And like the bass player and our drummer, I mean, they would have gone into anything like level 42 in the early days. They were such good rhythm section players. You know, they're just a great team together. Our influences come from
Mark
everywhere.
King great on the guitar?
Yeah, Mark King, great bass player. Yeah, definitely great bass player, one of the best in the world. Yeah. So our influences really vary. We've also got a really brilliant horn section with us, which that they play in all over the world. Actually, these guys in a kind of a blues sort of horn band, if you know what I mean. And they're influenced by anything from Louis Armstrong, jazz to anything. But when they come together to play ska with us, it just rocks. You know, simple as that. It just really makes the world go around for us. But our influences are varied from all over the world. But mainly, I think for the four original riffs, I think it's definitely coming from the early days of let's say Prince Buster, if you like, and also we cannot not be a ska band and say that we was not influenced by Specials, because I think every ska band is influenced by Specials, and even a bit of Madness as well, because we love those guys a lot.
Okay, so you released a debut single, Dance Music, for the 80s Depression back in 1981, and as I mentioned earlier, right. John Peel played it. John Peel played the song. How did that come about?
Well, we had a friend of ours called Ray Benici, and he was a journalist. He was a freelance journalist who worked for the Sounds, Melody Maker, and also there was a magazine, SFX or something it was called. They used to have cassette things out, and there was a big article that we had that Sounds had wrote about us in and I think it was like 1980 or something, about this band with this new sort of sound. And the reason why it sort of happened is because in those days our drummer was using like a constant, if you listen to today's music, which they call party music, that constant bass drum flow. For some reason they picked out that was slightly different for a ska band to be using, especially with the production that we had. And Ray Benici had met John Peel, and he passed the single over to him. And at that time, we were with Pinnacle, and unfortunately, Pinnacle, this was the time when Pinnacle went bust. If you check it out, you see it's totally correct. So unfortunately for us, the records were not distributed to the shop, which was a killer for us, obviously, because people wanted to buy it, and John Peel was playing it.
And no one could get hold of it.
And no one could get over it, so for us, it was a bit bad luck. But, you know, knowing the risk, we just sort of got up, brushed ourselves down and said, well, let's do a bit more of this, you know. And then, unfortunately, I moved back to England, and Raven moved back to England, and the other two boys in the band had to stay in Malta for their own personal reasons. We never said it was the end of the road for the Rifffs. We just went in different directions, really.
It's taking time out, I guess.
Yeah, and Raven had come back from New Zealand 2.5, 3 years ago, and he just called us all up and he said, "Listen, boys, I'm back. Why don't we get together and let's sort of have a jam session for old time's sake?" And we did, and the most amazing thing happened. It was like we never split up. We were just so excited about what we were doing that we said, okay. So I went away and I wrote a new album, which is obviously Moonstomp. Yeah. And then that's it. We're here.
So Dance Music for the 80s Depression, nearly 30 years old, but it's really stood the test of time, hasn't it?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I really cannot believe that. I mean, they do these gigs over here, which are like massive parties, and I never knew this, but everybody that goes to these parties knew this song, Dance Music for the 80s Depression, and obviously, like you said, it was 30 years ago. And the most amazing thing is that they still play it, and the DJs just go wild for it, you know? And everyone's been asking if you got it on vinyl and whatever, and obviously we still have a few copies on vinyl, which we had put aside.
You can't beat vinyl, can you, really? Let's be honest.
No, there's just so much warmth, you know?
There is.
And there's that crackling, which I don't know, it's just something